He handed her the box like it was fragile, precious, irreplaceable. Maybe it was. I just didn't expect to watch my husband give the kind of gift people save for proposals to his sister. She opened it slowly, dramatic as always, and the necklace caught the light before she did. A thin gold chain. A diamond that didn't belong in a casual family gathering. And a silence that felt louder than the entire room. She gasped. He smiled. I blinked. Then he turned to me and said, almost apologetic, "You're hard to shop for." But there was the holiday spirit. I didn't say anything, mostly because I couldn't decide which version of myself would answer. The polite wife? The sarcastic one? Or the woman reconsidering every decision that brought her to this living room? I chose silence. It was the most mature option I had left. To understand why that sentence hit harder than the diamond hit the light, you'd have to know my husband. He's the kind of man who thinks he's generous because he pays for dinner and tips well. The kind who believes thoughtful is doing something big, loud, visible. Never something quiet, precise, or actually needed. The kind who confuses grand gestures with real attention. He's built an entire identity around being the provider, the rescuer, the man who shows up when it matters. Except he never learned that showing up means paying attention to the right person. His sister, Camila, has always been his soft spot. Actually, soft spot is too delicate. She's more like a gravitational pull. Everything gets dragged in her direction. Attention, money, sympathy, excuses. Every single excuse. Growing up, she convinced the family she was fragile. Allergies, anxieties, crises, sensitivities. Conveniently timed always. Right before chores. Before consequences. Before responsibility. Right before any moment that required her to be an adult. My husband grew up rescuing her. He grew up expecting it. The tradition never died. It metastasized. I walked into that dynamic with the best of intentions. Back then, I still had that flaw of believing love fixes family habits. That marriage is this magical thing where you love someone enough and suddenly their entire dysfunction gets reorganized into something functional. I had read too many romance novels. Watched too many movies where the woman saves the broken man through the sheer force of her devotion. No one told me that some men don't want to be fixed. They just want to be accepted, damaged packaging and all. Spoiler. Love doesn't fix family habits. It just gives you a front row seat to watch them play out. 2 weeks before Christmas, he had looked at me with a kind of tired confusion. As if the question itself was exhausting him. "What do you want this year?" he asked. Warm tone. Concerned expression. The works. The performance of a man trying. I said something simple. Something I thought was clear enough that even he couldn't misinterpret it. Pay attention. And choose something that shows it. He nodded as if I had given him a riddle instead of a sentence. As if I'd asked him to decode an ancient manuscript instead of, "Pay attention to your wife and buy her something that reflects that attention." He looked relieved actually. Like I'd just given him permission to do the bare minimum. Camila, on the other hand, had spent the previous month doing what she does best. Demanding attention through strategic vulnerability. Complaining about her breakup, her job, her car, the state of her hair, the cost of living, Mercury retrograde, the energy of the season, whatever else sounded dramatic enough to justify the attention she craved. Each complaint was carefully calibrated. Not too serious, that would require actual solutions. Just serious enough to position her as the victim of life itself. She texted him constantly. Call him. Stop by his office. Find reasons to be present, to be visible, to be the problem that required his focus. And he ate it up. Every single time. Because being needed by her never required him to truly know me. It required him to perform. And performance he had mastered. So when he handed her that box, it didn't shock me. It confirmed a pattern. A pattern I'd been watching for 6 years. A pattern I'd mentioned once. A pattern he'd dismissed as me being insecure. Still didn't make it easier to watch. After she put the necklace on, immediately of course because heaven forbid she wait 5 seconds, she did a little spin. "Isn't it perfect?" she said. Her voice had that particular pitch it gets when she's performing joy. "It is," he answered with a softness I hadn't heard in months. That softness was for her. Not for me. Never for me. And then, with the courage only spoiled people possess, she looked directly at me. "What did he get you?" Everyone turned. The entire room suddenly very interested in my answer. His mother leaning forward. His father pretending not to listen while listening intently. Even his brother seemed to hold his breath. They all knew. They all sensed it. That something was wrong with this picture. I smiled. A reminder. A reminder of what? Camila asked, genuinely confused. Just a reminder, I said, and left it at that. She laughed. She didn't understand. Neither did he. And his mother quickly changed the subject because nobody in that family knows how to sit with uncomfortable truths. Perfect. Dinner was worse. Much worse. You can learn a lot about people by the way they behave when they think they're being subtle. Spoiler, they're never subtle. Camila spent the night doing this thing she does. Touching the necklace every 30 seconds, tilting her head to catch the light at precisely the right angle, spinning it between her fingers like it was a fidget toy for narcissism. Look at me. Look at what I have. Look at who loves me more. My husband kept watching her with that familiar expression. Half protector, half guilt, half... whatever that third half is that makes married women reconsider matrimony on Christmas Eve. The kind of look a father gives a daughter. Except this wasn't his daughter. This was his sister. This was his family obligation wearing the mask of love. His mother was already 3 wines deep and getting sentimental in that way mothers do when they're protecting their son from judgment. His father was quiet, which in his case meant disapproving. His brother was on his phone, choosing not to participate in the family's favorite sport, pretending everything is fine. At some point his mother asked, and I swear I could see her bracing for it, "And what did you give your wife, dear?" He froze. Only for a second, but it was the kind of second that lasts. The kind of second where everyone in the room knows something is deeply wrong. Then, "I'm still planning something. It's hard to shop for." The table hummed with that low social discomfort that families master like a second language. His mother forced a smile, the kind that doesn't reach the eyes. She performed a look of concern, the kind that's really just judgment wrapped in sympathy. I drank my wine and mentally rewound the last 6 years looking for the moment I became hard. Unsatisfying task. I wasn't hard to shop for. I just wasn't easy to please with superficiality. I wasn't hard to understand. I just required actual understanding. I wasn't difficult. I was just honest about what I needed. And in a family built on comfortable lies, honesty reads as hardness. There's a difference. Important apparently only to me. That night on the drive home the car smelled like wine and failed attempts. The GPS hummed. The heater worked overtime. We didn't speak. Then he tried. "You're upset," he said. No sarcasm in his voice. Just male confusion. That particular brand of confusion that men develop when the world doesn't work the way they expected. "I'm observing," I answered. "Observing what?" "Patterns." He sighed. "Look, you know how Camila is. She's been going through a lot. I wanted her to feel special. Mission accomplished. You think I overdid it?" "No. I think you did exactly what you wanted. And it taught me something useful." He glanced at me, nervous. The kind of nervous a person gets when they sense the conversation is about to shift into territory they can't navigate. "And what's that?" I turned to face him at a red light. "That I married a man who gives diamonds to the woman he feels responsible for, and excuses to the woman he says he loves." Silence. The red light turned green. He drove. I wasn't angry. Anger is for expectations. I had none left. He said quietly, "You really think it was inappropriate?" I looked out the window at the Christmas decorations passing by. All that forced joy. All that manufactured cheer. "I think," I said, "that if you wanted to give her something meaningful you could have given her therapy. It's cheaper. And actually solves problems instead of creating them." He didn't laugh. As expected. The week after Christmas he tried to compensate. Like guilt was something you could fix with logistics. Flowers on Monday. "I'm sorry I wasn't thoughtful," the card read. Dinners on Wednesday. "Let's spend time together," he suggested. Plans on Friday. "Anywhere you want to go," he promised. It all felt like apology without confession, the worst kind. The kind that doesn't acknowledge wrongdoing. Just assumes you'll accept the performance as repentance. I wasn't waiting for him to admit anything. I was waiting to see if he even understood the point. The point wasn't the necklace. The point was what the necklace represented. The point was that he had made a choice. And in making that choice he had revealed the actual hierarchy of his priorities. He didn't understand. Camila, of course, posted a photo of the necklace 2 days later. Perfect lighting. Perfect angle. Perfect performance. Caption: a diamond for surviving the hardest year of my life. Surviving. Hardest year. Gut. If she ever experiences a real problem, a genuine crisis, an actual loss, she'll evaporate. She'll implode from the pressure of having to be actual instead of performative. The comments were full of sympathy. People adore fragile women. They're so easy to admire from a distance. No responsibility required. Just the gentle compassion of observers watching someone else's pain. Nobody ever gets tired of being the audience to someone else's struggle. My husband liked the post. Then commented a heart emoji. I saw it. Deleted the app. Not out of jealousy, out of exhaustion. Out of the particular exhaustion that comes from watching someone you love choose everyone else. Repeatedly. Methodically. Without hesitation. The final drop didn't come from him. Came from her. She called me 3 days into January. Her voice had that particular sweetness it gets when she's about to say something cruel disguised as concern. Hope you're okay, she said. I know the holidays can be emotionally harder for women who aren't sentimental. Sentimental, I repeated slowly. What exactly do you mean by that? Well, yes. You're more logic-based. You don't need gifts to feel loved. Some of us are just wired differently. Of course. The narrative was forming in real time. She was rewriting the story. If I wasn't upset about the necklace, it wasn't because my husband had shown poor judgment. It was because I was incapable of being hurt. Because I was cold. Logic-based. Unsentimental. The kind of woman who doesn't need things. The kind of wife who doesn't deserve things. I said carefully, enjoy your necklace, Camila. She giggled. Actually giggled. Oh, I am. And don't worry, I told everyone you didn't want anything fancy. I said you're just not that type of wife. Not that type. Interesting. She was redefining me for an audience that would never question her version. Camila, I said, my voice very calm, just out of curiosity, what type of wife am I? She paused. Not long enough to think. Just long enough to organize the cruelty. The independent kind. The kind who doesn't need anything. It's actually really admirable in a way. Most women would make a fuss about something like that, but you handle it. She was complimenting my suffering. Praising my numbness. Turning my pain into a character trait. I smiled. That's where you're wrong, I told her. I don't need nothing. I just don't need him. Dead silence. The kind of silence where you can hear someone recalibrating their entire understanding of the situation. What? She whispered. You heard me. And then I hung up. That night I told my husband 3 simple things. No anger. No volume. Just clarity. 1. I'm not hard to shop for. 2. I'm just not someone you look at deeply enough. 3. I won't be in a marriage where another woman's needs come packaged as emergencies and mine come packaged as inconveniences. He opened and closed his mouth twice. Fish in existential crisis. Actually processing that his world had just shifted. Then he said, Are you leaving me? Not yet, I answered. First I'm watching. Then I'll decide. He didn't sleep well that night. I did. Better than I had in months. People think the end of a marriage starts with cheating, betrayal, or some shocking revelation. Mine started with a diamond necklace I didn't receive. Not because I wanted one. Not because I needed one. But because it showed me exactly where I stood in the life I'd built. Not in the center. Not in the priority list. Not even in the thought process. I was the stable one. The reliable one. The one who would stay no matter what. The one you take for granted because she doesn't leave. The one you can neglect because she'll always be there. He never imagined I wouldn't. That was his real mistake. Not the necklace. The assumption that came with it. 2 months later, after watching him try and fail to understand the concept of partnership, I finally made my decision. He'd gone to therapy. Read some books. Had several conversations with his mother about boundaries with Camila. But it all felt performative. Like he was checking boxes on a list someone gave him. I didn't leave with anger. Anger is for the moment. I left with clarity. Clarity is permanent. On our last day together, he asked, Was it really the necklace? No, I said, and I meant every word. It was everything that made the necklace make sense. I walked out with a single suitcase. Light finally. Quiet. Certain. Today when people ask me what happened, I give the same answer every time. His sister got a diamond. I got the truth. Clean. Accurate. Sufficient. And you? If your husband gave another woman a diamond necklace and gave you an excuse, would you stay or would you start packing? Because here's what I learned. Sometimes the person you need to leave first isn't your partner. It's the version of yourself that was willing to disappear. The version that was okay with being unseen. The version that called love something that looked a lot like erasure. That version is gone. And I have no plans to bring her back.